Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's look at the patch notes for this upcoming 7.3 patch. We are currently under the maintenance for this patch, so these are the official completed notes. Today I'm just going to give my opinions on what's being presented. I've already read through the preliminary patch notes, so I have an idea of what to expect here. However, we are going to continue looking and see everything else that's in store. We are proud to present the patch notes for Promise of Tomorrow, which follows the Warrior of Light as they aid a struggling Alexandria in the conclusion of the Dawn Trail story. This patch also features the second installment of the Alliance Raid series, Echoes of Van Daniel, a new trial, a new treasure dungeon, a Vault Onarion. Patch 7.3 also brings a new stage, Crystalline Conflict, the Bayside Battleground. I have seen screenshots of this, it looks fantastic. And a number of refinements and additions to the game, such as chat bubbles and portrait mode for group pose. I'm really looking forward to the portrait mode for group foes. Additional features will be implemented in future updates. Cosmic Exploration and Tool Enhancement Quests. Cosmic Tools are scheduled to release in patch 7.31. The Yokhoi Society Quests, Deep Dungeon, and Inconceivable Fielder Hildebrand Adventures side quests are scheduled to release in patch 7.35. So these are something that are not coming at patch launch, but these are coming later down the line, which, something to do mid-patch. So I want to skip most of the quests because obviously there's going to be MSQ, and we're going to keep going from there. So, only play it if you play the video game. MSQ is going to happen. The new Alliance Raid. It looks really good. I cannot tell you a thing about it because I have not played the Final Fantasy XI, so I have no idea what any of this means. But the fights should be cool. Tutorials have been added to quests with certain objectives. What transporting entails. Certain duties require the transporting of items to a designated location. When carrying out tasks, use of actions will be restricted upon you and you'll be granted the transporting status effect. You must be wary of attacks as they will strip your strength. I would be surprised if this is really necessary for the transporting one. It seems unnecessary. It's a point and click. You pick up the item, you move it, you click on the destination. Was anyone really looking for this? I don't know, but if they felt the need to add the tutorials and they felt the need to add to it, I will say probably if there's another tutorial like this, like the stealth segments, maybe that could be better. I don't think this is necessary. I think this might be too handholdy though. A Phoenix Down reward has been added to the main scenario quest, Call of the Sea. Call of the Sea. Which one is that again? So Call of the Sea is... We pull this up. Call of the Sea. You're going to get a Phoenix Down. The wiki must have already added that in. It looks like this is... Okay, this is level 15 quest at the very end when you're done with your personal, like, where you started out quests. Okie doke. Interesting. Alright. No complaints there. Not sure if the wiki is adding a second Phoenix Down to it or if it's just already accounting for that one. Either way, doesn't really matter. Good for new players, especially with the new Phoenix Down changes, which we'll see later. New chapters have been added to New Game Plus. Dawn Trail Part 3. Okay. I've never used New Game Plus, but for those who use it, you can look forward to that. Treasure Hunt. A new map has been added for treasure hunts. I'm guessing it's going to work the same as before. Yep, 8 players, and upon entering the instance, players will find a hypno slot machine, which it's literally just a slot machine. Amazing. Must use perform an invocation. Doing so will call the outrunner scenes to cycle through the images, summoning 3 different creatures to serve as a trial depending on where they stop. There's a chance that the invocation may end up with your prompt removal from the vault. A treasure chest will appear. Okay, so the if the slot machine will dictate if you fight a creature or if you end, same as always. So, segregation emitter, spells from the vault. Reveals a more grandiose vision. Okay, so you want the chest the best, I imagine. Which makes sense. The duty will end if the following conditions are met. 5 trials are passed and duty is complete, so same as before. The outrunners stop on spaces that remove the part from the duty, or all members are KO'd. So just another treasure vault, same as they've always been. Rewards in Sino Jaja Gorel have been adjusted. But it doesn't tell us what the adjustments are. Great! Grand and free companies. The following additions and adjustments have been made to subaquatic voyages. New areas have been added, new items have been added, and maximum submersible rank has been increased from 130 to 135. I don't know why they bother with this, because this is content that only 0.01% of players will ever get to see. If you're in an FC and you were not in charge of this aquatic submarines, you'll never see this. If you are in an FC and you don't have a house, like most people can't get a house nowadays because of how the housing system works, you're never going to see this. I don't know why they keep adding stuff to submarines, which is just exclusive content for the 0.1% of players. And it's not even, it's just another retainer. It's not even like interesting content. Housing. Furnishings from the Final Fantasy XIV furnishing design costs have been added. I love this light. I really like that light. I can see it especially working well with um, like botanical areas. Like you can put a bunch of these in a row and have them like kind of make a greenhouse area, or maybe just when playing too much Solution 9 or not Solution 9, Solution 1. The mahogany door is really nice because right now we only have one door, which is the mahogany door. This is like more of like a wooden panel door, so it's nice to have more variety in doors. And yeah, we have cool little flower thingies. Gym bros for all of our gym stuff. Did we have a shelf with tomes before? I don't think we had a shelf with tomes before. And a blank partition wall. Actually, this is huge, having blank partition walls with doors on them. That's actually insanely nice. And you have different style of doors too. That's actually way bigger than I thought because that is going to allow a lot of more creativity in what kind of doors go on what kind of walls. I'm actually really looking forward to that. I really like this carpeting too. All these floral decorations are really nice as well. And an orange tree. That's cute. New orchestration rules have been added, probably for the new content. New aquarium fish have been added. I really like the swordfish. Swordfish are cool. Don't put a swordfish into a tank this small in real life though, because this is not enough room for swordfish to swim around in. Very inhumane, but very cool looking too. A new seed for flower pots has been added. These look pretty. Will they be useful for anything? It's hard to say, but they do look pretty. New prizes are available for you to purchase using MGP. A lot of nice casual t-shirt glams. I kind of dig them. I don't know if I would ever use any of them, but I'm glad that they're here. They kind of remind me of the Extreme Survival shirt, except, again, more modern day t-shirts as opposed to just like fantasy t-shirts. The following editions have made to Triple Triad. New cards have been added and new NPC opponents have been added. Okay, so Triple Triad guys, you can enjoy that. More Mahang voices. I didn't know that they kept adding stuff to that. That's neat, interesting. After complete the side quest, every little thing she does is Mahang, and the main scenario quest Heavensward. Speak with Dio Boiter and the Golden Saucer to exchange MGP for items that will unlock a designated character's voice. Voices added in patch 7.3 will become available by progressing through the main story. How interesting. The layout of the Mahjong tab of the Gold Saucer has been adjusted. I don't know what that means because they don't tell us what it's been adjusted to. Miscellaneous duty support has been added for the following duties: Roman 1, Cutter's Cry, Dawn Trail, the new stuff, and the Mezzo Terminal. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the Wondrous Tales. New prizes are available in exchange for Chloe's Silver Certificate of Commendations. That's the Tier 2 one. So if you get lucky, you can add some extra stuff. Again, they don't tell you what the new stuff is. They just tell you that there's new stuff. That's really weird to me. Time-worn Braska skin maps will be replaced with time-worn Gargantuan skin maps. Maps are available as worth between 9 duties and Wondrous Tales journals. The following duties have been adjusted as objectives for Wondrous Tales. Okay. We got Cruiserweights are now part of the Wondrous Tales, which will be nice for anyone who still needs to do content from the Wondrous Tales content. The Mezzo Terminal and Vel on Arion. The following raids have been grouped together into a raid series categories. Asladios, first, second, third, fourth have just all been first to fourth. So that's just consolidating different objects in the tomes. Wondrous Tales now features a list of applicable duties for each objective. A new subcommand, open duty, or category is now available when moving your cursor over objects in the Wondrous Tales. Furthermore, selecting duties from this list will allow you to proceed directly into the duty finder. That is going to be a nice change. Being able to just click on this and then just going right into duty finder instead of like having to navigate through duty finder and like trying to scroll down and find which one is applicable is very nice. Earlier today, I was doing a Wondrous Tale, and I clicked the regular version of the trial instead of an extreme version of the trial, and so I didn't get credit for it, so I had to do it twice. This will prevent that from happening. Again, it's not a huge deal. It takes 2 minutes extra of my day to do the normal version instead of the extreme version. Actually, I think that trial, for some reason, the extreme version took less time because there was just a little bit less of, like, there was one less mechanic I had to do in the extreme version. Don't know why. But this is going to be a very nice quality of life. I do very much appreciate this. The following additions and adjustments have made to Fox Hollows. The available trial for Fox Hollows has been changed from House Kyre Unreal to the Wreath of Snakes Unreal. New items are available in exchange for the Fox Leaves. Is this a mount or a minion? It looks like a minion, but that is a cool mount. It is a mount. I don't think it's a mount. I think it looks like a minion. It's weird again. New items, not just telling you what it is, but at least this time they give you a picture, which is nice. But this is not the only item because it's items. Why not just tell us what the items are? Tell us the rewards. The following duties that can be recorded have been changed. We can now also record Everkeep M1 and M2, but we can no longer do Record Allure. A maximize the links button has been added to the Grainer's window in Island Sanctuary, setting the maximum number of days for 2 exploration areas. I have never done Island Sanctuary content, so I have no idea what this means. Someone who does Island Sanctuary content, please let me know if this is useful for anything at all. New hairstyles options have been added for Viera. I really like both of these, but I think the one on the left may have been in game for other races. I'm not sure. But both of these look really nice, and I really do like them. New hairstyle options have been added for Hrothgar. The pigtails that's on this one are really nice. I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't know if I would use this one. It feels a little bit like... I'm not sure how to describe it. It's just short enough in the back so that it doesn't like strike me as anything. It's like almost like a half mullet, if that makes sense, because there's no like flourish at the back end there. Bangs which will now be displayed when wearing headgear such as hoods, which previously hid them. Not applicable to certain gear. Again, this will look really nice. I would love to know which gear applies to and which gear it doesn't, but I do know that if this applies to a lot of hoods, then that'll be a nice quality of life. I'm hoping it applies to one of the newer hoods that I got. A large number of headgear items will now display when worn by Viera and Hrothgar. That was the big change that they made for the Hrothgar, and you can choose if it clips or not, which is kind of silly that that's the solution after all this time. When using a clarinet performance actions, delay between pressing keys and the music playing have been reduced. Very niche specific bug, I guess. I don't know if that was a bug or a feature, but very interesting specific patch note here. The following additions and adjustments have made to emotes. New emotes have been added, the Taking Notes app, and the following emotes can now used while sitting on the ground. A lot of stuff that can be used while sitting on the ground. Specifically, all the eating stuff. I'm surprised wasn't already something they could do while sitting down, because if you're in a role-playing setting, you would want to be able to sit down and eat. Because typically people don't tend to eat standing up unless they're at like a stand-up bar, I guess. The motion of following emotes have been adjusted while sitting on the ground. Only your upper body characters, only your character's upper body will move. That makes sense. Think, insist, converse. Neat. Battle system changes. So I am not going to know everything, but I'll do my best here. Actions and traits have been adjusted as follows. So this is a lot of AoE um, reduction to the monk action that occurs after you execute your, not Formless Fist, but the other one. After you do your 3 combo move, though, then it's going to reduce the AoE potency. I don't know, again, kind of a weird change. Was monk AoE really too high, and is 5% going to make it? Oh no, this is a buff, okay. So the buff is much better then. So again, is 5% really going to make that much of a difference? On one ability, probably not, but it is nice to see that a little bit of buff, because then you reduce time. Reduction in post after first cycle to change 50% to 40%. Again, was anyone complaining that your AoE damage was too high? Just general ninja buffs across the board. Cool. Hitaya Guren potency is no longer reduced after the first enemy. That's nice. That is the multiple attacks that like kind of shoot out in a wave in front of you. I like that change because this move is typically only used for AoE. Reduction in potency after the first target has been changed from 50% to 40%. So we got AoE nerfs from everything, but then we got one AoE buff. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm going to guess it's probably going to feel exactly the same. And so far, all of these are going to feel exactly the same. I'm not under any disillusion there. Except for maybe the ninja stuff. The ninja might feel a lot stronger. Reaper, I've never played Reaper, so I'm going to skip that. Viper. That is a lot of AoE buffs to Viper, it looks like. But again, it's all like 5%, 10%, so it's just, I don't feel like this isn't going to look too different from like content to content day to day. Potency has been increased from 600 to 640 for Resin Arrow, and Radiant Encore has been just buffed across the board. Very nice. I'm seeing a lot of buffs for most classes. Auto crossbow, increase potency, increase potency, increase potency, increase potency for chainsaw. Interesting. So chainsaw got a single target buff and an AoE nerf. That kind of makes sense for chainsaw. Chainsaw did do a lot of damage and kind of made the rest of you feel like a wet noodle. But and we need to get a buff for flamethrower. So it seems like you're going to be doing more flamethrower. They want to prioritize like more steady AoE damage than early damage, and that seems to be the trend here. I think they want to make the AoE experience more consistent rather than relying on the burst like everything else. I don't know anything about Summoner. I'm going to skip the Summoner. Red Mage, Enhanced Riposte. Points increases from the trait Enhanced Blade Mastery. Change from 300 to 340. So your Red Mage melee combo has been increased across the board. And then your AoE reduction has been nerfed. So similar to before, We're just seeing a more gradual reduction in AoE capacity with the burst skills. Again, don't know anything about Pictomancer. We're moving on. Ooh, White Mage is interesting. Area of effect has been increased with all of the AoE abilities for White Mage. Very interesting. It makes it a lot easier to keep everyone in the party affected by your AoEs. I don't know if that means we're going to be seeing more like spread mechanics, or if like White Mage are just generally struggling with spread mechanics. I have playing White Mage. I haven't noticed too many. During the Recollection EX, there was a little bit of funky spots when you're doing uh, the orb mechanic, but apart from that, I have felt like the spread hasn't been too bad. I wonder if this is going to affect that though. And then Dia potency has been increased from 80 to 85. Again, that seems too small to really matter. The damage over time potency might matter though. But again, you won't notice this in day-to-day play. Scholar, know nothing about. Moving on. Astrologian, similar to White Mage, they're increasing the AoE potency, and that's okay. So they're across the board for all healers. I see. Gotcha. Yeah, Scholar got the AoE range buff increase as well. Descriptions of certain actions and set effects has been adjusted. No changes have been made to their effects. Again, it would be nice to see what they're adjusting instead of just saying they adjusted things. The following additions and adjustments have been made to Phoenix Down. It can now be used. This is the one I've been looking forward to a lot ever since they announced it. So, Phoenix Downs can now be used on players outside your party, in combat, in public areas, and now can now be used in combat while undertaking certain types of duties. Instance dungeons, 4-player trials, treasure dungeons, deep dungeons, field operations, and invading dungeons. I am really excited about this because in a lot of this content here that they're referring to, there is a single point of failure. If the healer dies, that's it. The group has effectively wiped at that point. Now, sometimes a tank can just solo the instance dungeon if their healing can output is better than what the boss can like output to them and they're doing all the mechanics correctly. However, the DPS will eventually be whittled down, and that just results in the gameplay of the tank slowly whittling down the boss while everyone else watches. That's not fun gameplay. Having the tank get the ability to resurrect the healer once, because it is going to take 8 seconds to cast, so it's not free, and it does have a 5-minute cooldown that shares a recast with other medicine items. So if you're using like potions of strength, this is not going to affect anything. But this is, again, it's going to give you that one extra second chance in dungeons, which I think has been sorely needed. Can now be stacked up to 999 times, if that makes sense. If you're going to be using it, you don't want to be able to like use it once and then you're never going to be able to use it again for the rest of the dungeon. If their idea is to give this the second chance. And they're adding it to be able to purchase from a lot of places because it's probably going to get a lot more popular. I'm curious how much it's going to cost, though. Like, what's the guild cost it wouldn't be for Phoenix Downs? But I'm imagining it's probably not going to be that much of an issue. An active help will now appear when obtaining Phoenix Down for the first time, which is probably going to happen when you hit that level 15. You get it for free during the quest reward. So this is a very good change. I'm very excited to see this. I am curious if this cast time is going to get interrupted with being attacked. Because if it is being interrupted when you get attacked by a boss, it's going to be useless for tanks. Because tanks are always going to be taking damage. Which pretty much makes every single other class into a red mage. Or a summoner. Because the summoner and red mage can already kind of do a lot of rezzing. This is giving every single class the ability to res, essentially. But if you're a tank and if this gets interrupted by getting hit, then that's not going to help at all. Still a good change, even if that's the case. But I would hope that the cast timer is not affected by taking damage in the form of being tanks. And it wouldn't make sense to me that that's how it works anyway, because if you're healing and you're resurrecting someone with a regular resurrect, that does not get interrupted by getting hit. So ultimately, I think that this is going to just be an 8-second cast time, and that's fine. A progress bar cannot be displayed on the nameplate of certain enemies. That is a good change. That'll make it a lot easier to see when important mechanics are going off. I know a lot of people have their HUD so that the cast bar is showing up like in really big right next to their character. I have that set up as well. Um, but more visibility on cast bars is always going to be nice, especially on critical mechanics. So very much like that change. And you can, of course, adjust it like every other HUD item, looks like. The setting is enabled by default. Nice, good. I don't want to have to go digging through the menu on patch day. While the setting is currently applies to only bosses and powerfuls and instance content, we are considering extending this to those in public areas such as large-scale fates. Interesting. Okay. So they're going to see how this goes. I hope that they do extend it to fates. Just more information is always better, in my opinion. A new dungeon, the Mezzo Terminal, has been added. Players may enter with the trust. So this is going to be the new dungeon. This is the new expert dungeon, essentially. Going to require eye level 720. And what level gear does it drop? We have no idea. But it's going to be the new MSQ dungeon. And we get a new trial. So just like last patch, we get a new dungeon, new trial. And a new extreme for the trial. I want to see what the wings are going to be. They're not going to tell us what the wings are. And here are our Unreals. So, right, Wreath of Snakes Unreal. I probably will not end up doing this, but we'll see if my static gets that far. Okey-doke. The drop rate for Wings of Eternity in Miss Minstrel's Ballads Fiend's Burden has been increased. What is increased to? I have no idea, but I'm happy with this. And it can also be purchased in exchange for totems. So we now have a pity timer for the Wings of Eternity, just like the other two wings from the beginning of Dawn Trail. Like this change, because personally I have the EX4 wings, so I'm going to be planning on farming the EX5 wings, and then EX1 and 2 and 3 I'm going to come back and get. I'm sorry, I have one, so EX2 and 3 I'm going to go back and get. The weekly restrictions on rewards in the Cruiserweight division has been removed, so if you have any classes that need to be geared up still, now is the time. The number of Cruiser Hollow Sabers have been required to exchange Universal Tombstone has been reduced to 7 to 4. This does not affect the Tombstone of Mathematics requirement, however, so it will still take a minimum of 2 weeks, even with this weekly restriction being removed as well. So kind of unfortunate. It is what it is. Oh, and this also doesn't apply to this, so it's still going to take 4 weeks to get it either way. But if you've been hoarding them, then it's still going to take 2 weeks for the mathematics. A new Alliance raid dungeon, Sandoria, the second walk, has been added. This is the new Alliance raid. You need 725 to participate, but apart from that, yeah, business as usual. Rewards. You can receive only 1 reward item per week for the duties. But it doesn't tell us what the eye level of the reward is. Probably going to be 750, I imagine. So that will be a nice way to get the Tombstone of Mathematics equivalent level gear if you haven't gotten those already. Players will no longer be rewarded with correct Nova Clopers upon completing the Juno the first walk, because we're going to be beating it ideally with the second walk. Again, business as usual. Nothing has changed really there. The following adjustments are made to the Occult Crescent South Horn. When entering Alliance, you will now always enter a new instance. This newly created instance will be considered occupied, preventing entry by players that are not part of the Alliance. If an Alliance meets the entry requirements of Fort Tower, the Auroral Mirage weather effect will begin 5 minutes after entering the Occult Crescent. Once the Alliance completes entry in the tower, or in 10 minutes past, the weather will clear. If the Alliance fails to meet the entry requirements for the Fort Tower, the instance will no longer be considered occupied for 5 minutes after entering the Occult Crescent. The minimum number of players that must offer Sanguine ciphers to enter the Fort Tower has been increased from 16 to 24. The window displayed will now use Sanguine ciphers have been updated to show detailed information on number of players that have secured entry and thus seeking entry. I have not done this content, so I have no idea what any of this means. But it just means that, from my outsider perspective, it seems like if you have 24 people, it's going to be easier to enter in with a pre-made, but it's going to require more of these Sanguine ciphers. So however you get the Sanguine ciphers, you just need to get more of them. Items obtained have been from treasure coffers have been changed. Again, changed to what? Give us more details, patch notes. In preparation for the introduction of Pilgrim's Traverse in patch 7.35, the spawn locations of S rank and A ranks elite marks in Ilmeg have been adjusted. Interesting. The items required to enhance equipment purchased with Allegan, Tomestones, or with Mathematics can be purchased from now the following vendors. So you can upgrade your Mathematics. I'm sorry, you can upgrade your Mathematics gear now with the new Alliance raid stuff. After acquiring items to enhance your equipment, speak with Theon and exchange them for the better gear. So this is the guy in the Nexus Arcade. Players can no longer join duties in progress if they have never cleared duties they're registered for. That makes sense. If you're your first time doing a duty and you have the option to join duties in progress, you don't want to join an in progress duty for the first time doing a dungeon. That makes total sense. I'm actually surprised that this wasn't a thing already, but there you go. You can now leave that setting unchecked, or you can now leave the join parties in setting checked, despite the fact that if you've already done the content or not. The following duties have been added to the raid finder: the Unreal and the new trial. So you now get Recollection EX, and you now get the Echo in both of those. 5% to up to 25%, and 10% of 50% in the normal version. If you're struggling that much on the normal version, I would be surprised, but this is going to be nice for people who still need to farm out the Recollection EX. The strength of the Echo for the Savage tier has been increased to 20%. Yeah, so the Echo going to 20% on top of the gear upgrade is going to be pretty easy. You're going to have a lot easier time doing the Savage tier of this. Also, this I kind of like because you can always turn off the Echo, so you don't have to keep dying over and over again to get higher Echo potency. You just get it immediately. I think that this is fine. And yeah, so now the new dungeon is part of the expert roulette. The following additions and adjustments have made from Duty Finder roulette to the level cap dungeons. The required average item level to register has been increased from 670 to 690, and the new one has been added. Okay, so this roulette I never do anyway because the rewards for it are honestly just not good. So if you're a level cap, there's not really a point to doing these. At least the other one, the other expert roulette, you get, yeah, expert roulette, you get 90 mathematics for. You get like, I think 10 or 20 for this one. It's not worth doing it's not worth doing level cap one. The new trial has been added to trials. That makes sense. New duties have been added to mentor. Again, makes sense. The new extreme trial is now in Stone, Sky, and Sea. Excuse me. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, you can use that to determine if you are geared enough for that challenge, or rotationally proficient enough in that challenge, because you might have the gear and might not have the rotational proficiency with your class. And that's just to see if you can meet the DPS checks, essentially. The following adjustments have been made to instance dungeons in Crutter's Cry. The shifting sands that allow players to progress the dungeon will now appear after defeating a certain number of enemies. So you can't just run to them immediately and then press the button. Again, adjusted to what? This doesn't tell me anything. We might have to go out and just see what the difference is here. Not a huge fan of the change. I kind of didn't mind that you could just rush the teleporter, but I get why they did this. They don't want people just to skip all the trash mobs. even if I don't like it. The following adjustments have made to PvP actions. Purify. MP cost has been increased from 0 to 2,500, and recast time has been reduced from 24 to 4 seconds. Basically, what this means is that you won't get stun locked. This is an amazing change because in front lines, everyone knows you're the target of like a 30-person raid, and you will get stunned into oblivion. This now you're going to have a good like opportunity to get out because it's going to cost you a lot of MP, but you're going to be able to keep spamming that purify button as needed. You're still probably going to die though. I don't recommend it, but this at least prevents you from getting stun locked. Melee DPS bloodbath, so it's going to increase damage. I like this change because anything that increases damage is good in PvP, in my opinion. I think the time to kill is way too high in PvP. I don't know if this is going to affect it that much, but any change is better than no change in that regard. Here are all the different class stuff. I'm just going to scroll through them slowly if you guys want to read it, but I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Next quality light for Paladin, though. But I won't pretend to be an expert in anything PvP related. So pause the stream if there's a class change that you want to go over specifically. Otherwise, we're just going to move on. A lot of Pictomancer changes. A lot of cast time reduction. So this is a lot of Pictomancer buffs. Interesting. Look out for Pictomancers on the battlefield. The following adjustments are made to improve the visibility of PvP actions. The effects of the following actions have now been adjusted. Adjusted to what? We don't know, but they're adjusted. A unique visual effect will be used when the following status changes are applied to a target. I like that. So this is going to be like you get particle effects around you if you're being hit by specific stuff. That's not bad. Again, I would love to see if we could see like a screenshot or something of what they changed. Purify has not been removed from quick chat. That makes sense. If it's going to be spammable, there's no reason to put it in the chat. New items are available for PvP trophies. I like these casual glamours. I'm going to be trying to farm these ones, especially the glamour on the left. I think that looks really slick. All the boots kind of look the same to me. Like these boots with laces, and then like I guess smaller shoes, but that just might be a character model thing. But overall, I like all the sets. They look very nice. I'm hoping that on the back here you can dye both sides of this to be the same color so that you can have a more uniform look if you want it. But on the whole, not bad at all. Series 8 will begin and Series 8 will end and Series 9 will begin. So you won't be able to get any more of the Series 8 items. I'm curious what the new emote is going to be. But it looks like this is going to be the new all classes armor set. Not a fan of like the poofy armor thing here. But again, I do like more casual glamours. This one might not be for me, but depending on what dye channels they give you, it's not that bad, I think. Not that bad. That is the best I can do for you. A new arena. The Bayside Battleground has been added. This is what we saw screenshots of before. I think all of this looks fantastic. I look forward to playing on this map here. Mostly it's going to be just jumping on these glyphs here. Those are going to be your shortcuts moving forward. Is there any other interesting... I guess not. I don't see any other interesting events like exploding pillars, but we'll see. With the addition of Bayside Battleground, the following adjustment was made to the arena rotation. So we're gonna add it to the rotation. That makes sense. The following additions and adjustments have made to medicine kits. A new timer so you can see when they're about to spawn. That's very good. I'm always a fan of more information. The time until a medicine kit can be claimed after spawning has been reduced. So if you're panicking and you see the timers going off, it's going to be a lot easier to grab it. I like that. It's going to put giving more control over those medicine kit areas. It's going to incentivize that a little bit better, I think. Right now, it feels a lot more opportunistic when you're like going for the medicine kits. When you see a medicine kit, you go for it, but you're not going to be like mentally clocking down when it spawns again. This is going to be a nice change for that. It's going to add in some more controlling of those territories. Players under the effect of Hysteria or Seduce can no longer utilize the arena events. Very interesting. So if you get stunned, you're going to be able to not use the area, the arena stuff. Not a bad change. I was, again, one of those, I'm surprised that this wasn't the case already, but here we are. Players can now register to join casual matches with a party of 2 players. This is, again, another really great changes, being able to do duos in casual. I don't see why we can't just do more than 2. I guess it's to prevent people from steamrolling like casual matches, but I am always a fan of duos. Playing with friends in an MMO, just that's what you should be doing. If you can't play with friends, why are you playing an MMORPG? 2 new tiers, Omega and Ultima, have been added to the ranked matches. These 2 tiers are above rank Crystal. Both the icons look fantastic. If you care about rank, cool. You got cooler ranks now. And here are the scores you need for the rank. Interesting that the score is different based on region. Players who reach Omega or Ultima tiers by the end of the season will receive a Framers kit and an achievement. So if you're competitive, go for it. I'm not that competitive. I like PvP. I don't like PvP that much. Season 15 will end and Season 16 will begin. So again, new season time. Frontline. The following adjustments have been made to the job damage output for damage taken and limit gauge fill rates. So Paladin will take less damage and Warrior will take less damage. I don't know why they didn't put that just up in the PvP job changes, but there you go. Paladins can rejoice. You're still probably going to die if you're dealing with more than 3 people at once. Do not try to engage without your team. New items have been added. So these are all the raid sets from the new raid tier. Let's see. So the one on the left is definitely the tank set. I really like the tank set, but I don't know why there's no, like, I don't know why there's just exposed skin here on the back. That's kind of weird to me. And again, the same thing with the, I assume, the Dragoon set, the maiming set. Like, why do we have that exposed plate? But they honestly look the same. I don't know why they didn't just bundle those into one. I guess the Dragoon set has a little bit more coloration here, whereas this is more of a solid scale mail. I do like both of the sets though. They're both very good, except for the back. I'm not just a huge fan of that. The caster sets, they look like caster sets. They're not bad, but they're also just not very standout in my opinion. We've have like a lot of these kind of like robish attire here in a lot of different content, so nothing that screams to me, wow. I do really like the light melee stuff though. That actually looks really good. I would be curious to see that on a male character though, because I don't. These look very feminine, so I'm wondering what the male counterpart is going to be. Items added in patch 7.3 will be listed at a later date. New recipes have been added. I've already got friends who really like these. This is very cool, like wedding attire or like fancy formal attire. They look very good. No, it's just, I'm assuming that these are also going to be crafted with the new gear set or with the new crafting material in the new treasure dungeon. So if you want these, I'm assuming you're probably going to be doing a lot of maps in the near future. The following items have been changed. So they just changed the names of stuff. So Riveria became Highland, I think. Certain items can now be sold, desynthesized, or submitted except for delivery missions. So this is all of the. Oh no, this just again they don't tell us what it is. They just tell us that it happens. Very informative, very useful. I don't know why they keep doing this. The following items now have 2 die channels. So a lot of items got 2 new die channels. I love this. I want to see it for everything, but I think that they're slowly making their way to that. So no notes, all good changes. Actually, ooh, is my Fierce Monarch? Yes, False Monarch has 2 die channels. I'm very excited for that. I use the False Monarch all the time. I'll be looking forward to playing with those. The following items cannot be equipped regardless of gender. Yeah, right. Neat. It would be nice if they showed screenshots of these. Like, I get why you're not going to put screenshots of all the stuff on this list, or maybe like a link to like their like lodestone page. But like for this, just put a screenshot of the armor set and leave us be. You know, because now you just have to look this up. Kind of annoying. Again, patch notes gripe, not necessarily like change of the game gripe. The confirmation prompt displayed when dispelling grammars is also indicates that dies and company crests will be removed. Good. Or again, always a fan of more information rather than having less information. This doesn't feel like too handholdy either. Although I do wonder though if you're just spelling a lot of glamours, this might get annoying for people because you have to go through like 3 different prompts. We'll see how that actually looks when we're in game. When using a gamepad in the Glamour Dresser window, canceling from the Glamour Dresser window will now return the cursor to the Glamour Dresser window. Okay. Again, a niche change. If you're playing on a gamepad, let me know if that's going to be something that improves your quality of life a lot. A button to filter your current job or class has been added to the drop-down window shops. So when I originally read this, I thought that this was a lot bigger of a change than it actually was. You can always, this button here, where it says show all, and then you like filter by which class you want to play, that's always been there, but this is now just saying apply it, or only apply it to current job. It's a good change, don't get me wrong, but it's not as big of a change as I initially expected it to be, because this button has always existed in the game, but I do like appreciate more quality of life than not quality of life. I'd rather have this than not, so good change overall. The following additions and adjustments have been made to Dream Fitting with set gear. These changes address an issue wherein selecting a gear set to preview would expand the list of its individual pieces, shifting the item order and making it difficult to select the next set. So this is affecting what is in the inn. If you want to take a look at Mog station pieces. Okay, like I would like to see dream fitting changes include every like gear piece in the game rather than just Mog station. I get why they're not going to do that. They just want you to be able to look at the sort of things that you can buy but before you buy it. But this seems like a very minor change to me for a niche feature. Supplementary text expanding the search window is now displayed at the bottom of the search item list. I don't know what this is. I guess if you're searching for an item, this will show you why it got the results it did. But it's a weird change nonetheless. New items have been added to gathering points. Does it tell you what the new items are? No. Moving on. Time-worn Labo skin maps and Times-worn Braska skin maps can now be obtained from certain botanist gathering points within Heritage Found. No changes have been made to the gathering points themselves. Okay, so this is saying that the new maps can be gotten in Heritage Found, basically. New fish have been added. Where? Who knows? Go find them. This is one of the changes I don't mind them not revealing because I know fishing is a lot of like discovering all the new fish. Although we do know one of them is the swordfish, so be on the lookout for that swordfish. Crafted item level 740 equipment can now be exchanged for upgraded item level 750 equipment. Nice change if you haven't gotten your mathematics gear yet. This is another alternate way to do that. You will need the Everkeep certificate of grade 2 import. So I'm assuming that's just a item that you craft to upgrade it. Acquiring the upgraded gear. Yeah, so you essentially you make the gear twice. You then import that gear, and you get the certificate to upgrade the first set of gear. Speak with Irene and exchange elegant tomestones of Helionchi for the Immortal Rain. Okay, so you also need Immortal Rain, which you get from the lesser tomestones. Gotcha. After acquiring the requisite number of Everkeep certificates of grade 2 import and Immortal Rain, speak with Irene to exchange them for your new desired gear. Neat. So you essentially have to craft your gear twice if you want to get it to level 750. But if you're a crafter, this doesn't get you out of content, but this makes it a little bit easier. The level cap for decent synthesis has been increased from 740 to 750. Okay, so that will include the Recollection EX gear as well as the Tomestone 750 gear. So if you have been farming Recollection EX and you're wondering why you couldn't desynthesize them, now you can. The following additions have an adjustment have been made to Cosmic Exploration. The option Travel to Sinus Endorium has been added to the Aetheryte. That's very nice because you don't have to fly from the Aetherytes to the guy. And in future updates, this option will be updated to travel to the newest star. Very nice. Mounts cannot be summoned. They can't, but you can't fly. Similar to how it works in the firmament or in residential areas. Again, good change. I like this a lot. Just though you can sort of shelf the mounts, and also just running is always really slow. A summoning bell is in place. I don't know why it was launched without a summoning bell, but finally we have one. That's great. And new items are available for Cosmo credits. What are these new items? I don't know. Okay, patch notes do not tell us. You have to look at those in game, apparently. The notation for indicating difficulty of Class A missions has been adjusted. So instead of A1, A2, A3, now it's non-EX and EX+. I guess this makes it clear on like extreme difficulty if it's not extreme difficulty, but I don't think that anyone was. I don't think A1, A2, A3 was really that difficult to understand. But I don't mind this change either, because EX sounds cooler than A3. The time allotted for stellar missions has been increased, but it does not apply to EX plus missions. The sound effects when played when starting completing stellar missions have been changed. Okay, so you have to hear that in game. When completing a stellar mission, the amount of experience gained for bronze and silver ratings have been increased, such that all rating tiers now grant the same amount of experience. So there's not going to be any reason to even go for gold if your goal is just experience. When completing missions that can be accepted by multiple classes, each class will earn points towards their cosmetic class score, and players can now confirm the relative distance of the site of the stellar missions when viewing the stellar missions window. So that'll be nice that you can compare the different, like, how long it's going to take to get there. So nearby, far, and very far. I like that change. That's a really good change. Now you don't have to accept it and then say, oh, this is going to drag me all the way to the other end of the map. Hey, Screamish Cube, how's it going? I'm actually really excited by this content for this game you don't play. When undertaking stellar missions, the objective and gold star rating requirements will not always be displayed. This is nice. Again, more information is always better than not having that information available. Notification marker indicating the availability of provisional missions will now appear in the stellar missions window. So this is for like time restricted missions, or will this apply to red alerts, I wonder? I would assume so. It's a minor change, but Again, more information is better. I'd rather have it than not. Notifications, again, not a bad change at all because you can see when things are about to be accepted or not. The time limit for accepting sequential missions after they appear has been removed. In accordance with this change, the clock icon indicating a time limit will no longer display in the list of accepted missions. Okay. When a red alert has been issued, the time remaining to accept critical missions will only be displayed in the stellar missions window. Very nice change. That'll help you plan out red alerts. Although, again, most people just go to the site and then start spamming the red alert anyway. But more information, as we've been repeating over and over again, more information is always good. Have a good night when you're ready to go to bed. When both red alert mission progress when red alert progress gauges are filled, periodic announcements indicate that the alert nearby is resolved. Mission progress window will automatically display when reporting is only steps to complete the mission. The mission log will now indicate when further exploration is required to trigger a mission. Upon completing gathering stellar missions, you receive GP equal to the total time spent during the mission. That one is nice. So that we can keep doing missions back to back instead of waiting for like GP recovery. Upon completing gathering stellar missions, recast timer of GP recover items such as quarters will be reset. Again, also a nice change. Because that way you can just go back to back instead of waiting for cooldowns. When stellar missions from botanists and miners are graded based on successful gathering chains or gatherer boons, the evaluation criteria and scores will not be displayed in the chat log. Don't think we need that one. When stellar missions for fishers are graded based on collectability, collect must be activated to begin fishing. Okay. Time limit has been increased from 5 to 10 minutes for the destroy cryptic crystals and clear toxic sponge. This is really good if you're playing these missions solo, because if you're the only person doing these missions, the time can actually run out. I've seen it happen on the toxic lunar fungi. This is making it essentially impossible to fail. Don't mind that, because if you fail it, it's just kind of a waste of your time. You can argue that making something impossible to fail is a bad thing, but I don't think that there's that much to this content to make it failable, because the entire mech ops are mostly just time sinks. The amount by which ground support contributes to the progress gauge during mech ops directive destroy corrupted crystals and directive cure toxic lunar fungi has been increased. Hey, we got a bot. That us. We have officially blocked their first bots. Woo! When undertaking the mech operative destroy corrupted crystals, the special action carrot gun will automatically target the nearest enemy if none is selected. The special action full throttle is now available in the mech op directive clear toxic lunar fungi no longer has a cast time. So that is actually a good change, because before the special button didn't do anything because it was always better just to charge the fungi. Now there's actually a reason to use the AoE. When a project's been completed and progress advances to the next stage, an announcement will be displayed at the top of the screen if no new project is underway. Okay. A notification window will now automatically appear as if there have been any progress from an ongoing project since the last visit into the cosmic exploration. I actually like this. This will keep people like up to date if they're not like looking for the lore. Now they'll see like, hey, there's a little notification saying here's what you missed. The requirements for certain stellar successes have been changed. Players who already met these new requirements will earn stellar successes after completing any stellar missions. So essentially, they're making everything just a little bit easier to unlock. Don't mind that at all. New mounts have been added. This thing is cute as heck. I love it. A mounting animation has been adding when boarding mounts. Very interesting. So I wonder if that means like when we're getting on Chocobo, we're actually going to be seen like going onto a Chocobo. That'll be nice. New Chocobo barding has been added. New minions have been added. I wish we could see the Choco bartering. Why didn't they put a screenshot? I don't think it's going to be that secretive. But these are cute. I like these minions. I'm curious how you get them. They didn't really specify where these minions come from. They just say they've been added. New fashion accessories have been added. Again, they haven't told us where this is from, but I really want the storage. It looks cute. New faceware. You can become Cyclops from X-Men or different rimmed glasses. I like these rims. Actually, they look kind of nice. System. Graphical adjustments have been made to the player character models based on feedback from the community, which means that we will be getting another Fantasia. Yeah, so get your free Fantasia from Gridania if you haven't done so already. Let's see what this link takes us. The depth of an area, okay. So this is not going to be something that you're probably going to notice unless you're really into G-posing. And we've improved a bunch of this gear. I recommend checking out the patch notes yourself for the full list of gear if you want to see if an item that you particularly care about is on this list. It seems to be a lot of relic items for the most part, however. And also a lot of the like quest gear, like the Kabuto sets. Chat bubbles. Chat bubbles have been implemented, allowing messages to display above characters' heads. Chat bubble settings, including the options to adjust text and background color, can be found under the general tab of the log window. Chat bubbles are disabled by default. That's an interesting choice. Most MMOs would keep those enabled by default. At least the MMOs I've played, so I'm curious why you would keep them disabled by default. Chat bubbles will not display when using performance actions during battle or during PvP encounters. Even when they're enabled, there is no additional settings to prevent to display your own messages. So by default, you won't see your own chat bubble, but you can adjust your chat bubble. And then you can also see how many chat bubbles there are. That'll be good for high population areas. And when most chat bubbles overlap, the most recent message will appear in the foreground. I'm not a huge fan of this. I would rather see it be like a distance thing. Like if one character is further away than the other, I would have preferred to see the closer chat bubble as opposed to having it to be the more recent chat bubble. But I guess that's fine. And you can adjust how many rows of text it displays and how big it can be. I'm curious how this will compare to the illegal things that people should not be using, but we'll see. Character limits. They have a fixed width and character limit. Messages that exceeds these limit will be truncated with trailing ellipses. The chat bubble format can be used only one or two lines. Interesting. So 2 rows is the default, and then you can't go higher than that. That's kind of annoying. Messages consisting solely of a single word or phrase from the auto translation dictionary will always appear on a full single line. Okay. I do like this that different chat bubble modes will show differently and they have different borders. This is really nice and this is really cool looking. I'm still not a fan of the maximum of 2 rows though. Yeah, you're going to fill that up very quickly. Chat bubbles from players who are blacklisted or muted will be hidden with only a few exceptions. Furthermore, words blocked with profanity filter will be displayed as question mark, question mark, question mark. So same thing as like regular chat. Makes sense. And here are the display ranges for players. They've been increased, and you can change that based on your settings. It seems like this is going to be mostly affecting public areas. I mean, it's going to be affecting mostly like cities. Instances are probably going to have everyone shown always anyway. In order to prevent server congestion, we'll be implementing multiple field instances for the places where quests are going to happen. So in case you're wondering where the quests are mostly going to be happening, there you go. We will monitor server activity and remove this feature when congestion is no longer determined to be an issue. You know what I'd like to see? If they could put this in Ul'dah, because there are a lot of people in like the major cities all the time, and they're always congested. The division of Tuliol and Yektel into multiple instances added to alleviate congestion will be removed. So this is also noteworthy for hunts. So because we will have four, like I guess we will have instances in 3 open world areas, and removing 2, hunts will now have more trains will essentially be longer. This is good for people who enjoy doing trains. I'm also imagining that there's probably going to be more than 2 instances. Right now, there's only like 2 instances in Tuliol and Yektel. So you're going to see more than 2 instances. Most likely, you'll probably say 3, which will make for longer trains, which makes for more hunt rewards. The following additions and adjustments have been made to achievements. New achievements and titles have been added. What are these achievements? How do you get them? Who knows? But we can now add in the new stuff to the thank you quests. So if you're a tank, you can now get these achievements if you haven't gotten them already from the new content. That just makes sense. The following additions have been made to retainers. New retainer exploration ventures have been added, and new items can now be obtained from quick exploration. What are the new items? Who knows? New portrait accents have been added, and new poses have been added. This is a really cute accent, but this is for adventure plays. This is for portraits, but again, what are these? Who knows? The following additions have been made to the group pose. There's a lot of stickers on this group pose. Also noteworthy, they did not make this with the group pose in game that is on the live version, because the live version has a watermark. There's no watermark here. So either their dev version doesn't include the watermark, or they just cropped it out. Chromatic aberration has now been added. Chromatic aberration, so you're going to see a little bit more vibrancy on colors. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think I'd probably leave it off in most instances. You can especially see it with like the Lalafell in the back, or the Lopper in the background. Like, it just adds a little bit more blurriness to the image, in my opinion. So I probably would leave it off. But if that's your thing, I do like the added detail and like the little spaceship in the background there. But for the most part, for me, it makes everything just look a little bit blurrier. I don't think I would want to enable this. A filter intensity, it can now be adjusted. This is a really nice change, because some filters can be way more intense than others, and having a option to change how intense they are, that will make things look a lot nicer, I think. I wonder if we can go above 100, or if 100 is just what it is now. So I wonder if we can make it more intense than what it is before. And portrait mode has been added. This mode includes a portrait preview that simulates the framing of vertical shots, allowing you to easily adjust the camera angle, place stickers. It's based on 16:9 stream ratio. If you have a taller ratio, black bars will be added to the top model screen. This is really interesting, because you kind of already had this with the roll angle, but they just made it a little bit easier to use. So, because before you could always set the roll angle to 90 degrees, and then just take your picture, and then it would just kind of create a portrait picture. But I guess now with portrait mode, they just made it a lot easier to see. And then this is like how you preview it. I like this change personally. I still probably will use the roll angle more than portrait mode, but we'll see. We'll have to take a look at the portrait mode previews there. And which direction it rotates can be found in the general settings of the tab. Okay. I don't have a screenshot of that menu option, but I'm sure it's there. It's not that I could see. Yeah, so you're just gonna have to click portrait mode, and then there's gonna be another menu based on portrait mode, it looks like. They don't show a screenshot of that menu. New stickers have been added. I'm gonna guess that these are like all of these stickers here. Perfect, perfect groove ones, and all the like little beats from the first cruiserweight. Skirmish Cube, you have been modded. You now have the ability to motor bots. I appreciate you, good sir. So lots of new stickers. On the text mode, stickers containing character information can now be rotated. You can now rotate the patch logo. I'm sorry, the patch logo frame has been updated with patch 7.3. Again, makes sense. And they adjust the names of those different settings. Most people, I think, just go by icon, so I don't know how much this actually will affect you who are going into deposing. An option to face the camera while group host is activated has been activated. This is very nice, so you can choose whether or not you want your characters to move or not when you're doing group posing. Um, so if you are going to depose immediately, having everyone face you can be kind of annoying for specific stuff, because then you have to unpause it and then have them go back. I like this change a lot. You can now toggle a setting added in patch 7.1 that determines whether camera tilt and pan tilt follow screen orientation or remain fixed when the camera is roll rotated. Okay. That one I don't think is going to matter too much. Depth of field can now be enabled for group pose and the idling camera even when disabled under graphics settings. Okay. And console, it's already been enabled for you. Good job. The following adjustments have been made to the jog status effect. Jog will now be removed when participating in crystalline conflict and slices right. That just makes sense, but I didn't think that there was jog in crystalline conflict, so I thought sprint was unlimited there and can be used in combat. Interesting. Jog will now be removed upon gaining the transporting status effect. Oh, they're making transporting it more annoying. I mean, it makes sense from a gameplay standpoint, but I still don't like it. When inside a deep dungeon, jog will now be removed when afflicting with the spirit sprint penalty status. Okay, so when you're in a deep dungeon, if you're not allowed to sprint, then you're just going to remove jog. That makes sense. Again, surprised that that wasn't there before. A glamour's button has been added to the window displayed when examining player equipment. That's nice. So when you're looking at someone, you can see what glamours they are being applied instead of just what the equipment they have. I appreciate that change as someone who likes looking at people's glamour. The following adjustments have been made to blacklisting. When measures were implemented in patch 7.2 to make it more difficult to confirm reference points of character IDs not normally visible during gameplay, further adjustments have been made in patch 7.3. As a result, certainly locally stored client data will be reset. So does that mean that people are going to be having people unblacklisted? I hope not. All information on the registered on the mute list has been deleted. Blacklist registrations on your contact list is now only possible while you remain logged in. Blacklist comments saved between patch 7.0 and patch 7.2 have been deleted. That's really kind of just shitty. If you wanted to keep a note of why someone was blacklisted, you will have to go back and remember all of that. The mute list information being deleted is kind of annoying, but blacklist registration for players on your contact list is now only possible when you remain logged in. I'm guessing this is just because they want to make the character IDs not normally visible even more obscure. However, this seems like an unnecessary change. You can now adjust the transparency of the chat prompt. Surprised this wasn't a thing before, but now it's there, so we can make the background more or less transparent. I like that. An automatic option has been added to the character object and character object quantity settings under display limits. So essentially, in bigger cities, you can reduce the amount of character counts, or now you can just select automatic to try to get the best performance out of it. We'll see how well this works. I imagine most people will. Okay, so all players will automatically be switched to automatic. So if you start getting performance hits, try making sure that you manually reduce the number of objects that you're seeing, because it might be that automatic is giving you too many options. The following menu options have been adjusted to system configuration menu. Character display range, maximum, extended, normal. Okay. More options. Character object quantity. This is what they were talking about before. The following options have been added to the character configuration menu. The display progress bar that we had earlier, and all the chat bubble stuff and the glamour stuff. And we have the following text commands. So Viera, you can turn on and off your ears, and the slash jotting down stuff. Emote. More stuff for auto translation. New trophies have been added. New achievements. New music, sound effects, and voices have been added. That goes without saying because a new MSQ has been added. The log message display when a character has used a file of Fantasia attempts to edit their paints without first moving their gear has been adjusted. So this is just saying that it's going to be more transparent or less transparent if you haven't gotten naked before using a Fantasia. I still don't know why you have to get naked to use a Fantasia. That just seems weird to me. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the launcher. New backgrounds have been added. The newly added backgrounds unlocked to complete the main scenario quest and Walker. A link to the official Blue Sky has been added, and the location of temporary folder patch for downloads have been changed. Okay. And a lot of bug fixes. I am going to skip through all of these because I personally have not really seen that many bugs. So if you're interested in bug fixes, I would recommend checking out the Lodestone yourself and looking through these bug fixes. And here are known issues. Again, if you're interested in bugs, go check out the Lodestone. That is it. That is all the patch notes. There was a lot of changes here. Overall, I think everything on this list has been a good change. We will have to see going into the patch where it lands. There was a lot. If you're still watching, thank you for watching it with me, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.